Greetings and felicitations, YouTube. Jarl of the Appian Way here, and your eyes do not deceive you. We're looking at the capital of the Trojan Empire, of Ilion, Troy. And I am here with far too many Trojan horses for the actual Iliad, but yes, I'm playing as the Greek invaders against a friend of mine, Crimson, who's playing as the defenders today. And this is to talk about, basically just to talk about how patently unfair siege battles are in this game. A lot of people are like, yeah, do siege battles, it's competitive, multiplayer, they can be fair, they can be balanced, or there are even people who don't understand why siege battles are not balanced. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. The reason why siege battles aren't balanced is because of the walls, is because of the choke points, is because of, especially because of the towers. Anyway, this is a long battle, so I'm going to go ahead and let things play out, and I'm probably going to be doing a ton of editing, because this, as you can see, it's a 35-minute long battle. Dardania defenders brought 3,500 troops. I brought 1,929 playing as Phthia. Right away, they put some Centaur elders outside walls to harass me. I deployed, and I'm actually really kind of proud of this plan, I deployed Ancient Indian runners and Myrmidons out here on the left. These are fast melee troops. They're going to take a ton of damage from the walls, but I deployed them here, and then I ran. I wanted to feint an attack on this wall. I bolted over for this direction. Simultaneously, I have a team of giants, the max number of giants I could bring on these funds and game settings. So that's 2 giant champions and 4 armored giant spearmen. They're going to sprint for this gatehouse and break it down, giving me a second avenue in. And then over here is a much more traditional invasion. I'm just going to go for the walls. He sallies out with a pair of heavy Trojan chariots. And unfortunately for those heavy Trojan chariots, directly into the path of Renowned Phthia Spear, which is pushing the battering ram. At this stage, I don't even need the battering ram, not with all these towers right here. These guys are going straight for my Renowned Armored Slingers, and I do have Achilles out here, and I do have my Myrmidons on the way. The early stage here, I go ahead and I'm going to stop this Ancient Indian runner and just sacrifice it into these Centaur elders just to stop it from chasing me and harassing me all the way back. And these guys are going to get shot. Look at the damage they've already done. These are Renowned Armored Slingers, the 58 missile damage. The extra damage comes from a faster reload time. Achilles hot on the heels of this chariot. And yeah, the chariots are going to deal some damage, but because of the medium mass of the Renowned Armored Slingers, they're a little bit more able to defend themselves. He does get through this Renowned Phthia Spear here. The game settings, by the way, because I realize that this is, playing on, look at the damage we've already done. That's mostly just from Slingers and from Achilles. Really impressed with that showing. So the game settings, right? This is on Ultra Funds Large Armies, which means that the total number of funds you can spend, I believe, is 34,000, and all of the unit caps are doubled. You can have twice as many of swordsmen, you can have twice as many total slots. And yeah, so the towers have made it to the walls, and I'm just making my way through. He's manned his walls with, Dardanian mobs, so I know that I'm just going to chew right through these. But I don't pay attention to, I think that these are just a pair of regular old heavy skirmishers. They're actually Harpy Fiends, and they have a ton of sword damage, and they're going to do a ton of damage to my units. They're actually going to make a ton of kills right here. But, being that it's just mobs on the walls, I'm not even focusing on this part of the engagement right now. I'm mostly focusing on keeping these Centaur elders away. I did stop them with that Ancient Indian runner, even though I lost that Ancient Indian runner. Those elders are no longer participating in the fight. And as you can see, I've already removed 2 chariots completely from this fight. This one just lost its last unit. This one is now shattered, so I'm kind of wasting ammo here. I was already too busy focusing on other things. Out on this side, however, you can see my giants are at the walls. So what was my total army build? I brought, because I still believe in not bringing too many broken units, I brought 4 Renowned Phthia Spears. I brought 4 heavy swordsmen. I still felt it would have been unfair to me to bring more, even though I'm attacking. There is something to be said for just playing and bringing nothing but Renowned Phthia Spears and forcing my opponent to do something about it. I felt, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm going to build a more balanced roster. Besides, It's a siege battle. It's not going to be fair anyway. Just play however you want to play. With the settings we picked, you can tell that this is a game for fun, right? This is not competitive because the simple fact of the matter is you can't do sieges competitively. Not without a chat. Not without the ability to communicate to the other team and set rules and limitations for each other. So yes, my opponent, as you can see, 2 Centaur Elders, which I think their play here, they were planning on going through this gatehouse to rejoin their forces right through this gap, but it is at this stage that I start to take over the capture point.
The enemy gates have been destroyed.
And that's also when I break through over here, so I'm going to push those giants through, capture that gatehouse. So the Centaur Elders are moving their way up here. They're getting ready to move through the gatehouse.
You have captured the gates.
And any second now, I capture, right there, I capture this gate just before the Centaurs can get there. So they have to re-divert their maneuver this way through the broken gates, and they're just going to get shot up the entire way there. Even by these Asian runners. They're even going to get hung up on the walls at one point. It's just gross for them. So let's talk about the rest of the army and the defense plan. As it stands right now, my opponent has been able to just set up some mobs up here, kind of plugging holes. He's got 3 Fearless Swordsmen over here that have been upgraded. He's got all 6 of his Dardanian defenders right here. 3 Fearless Swordsmen over here. And a bunch more mobs. There's even another heavy Trojan chariot to help defend here. He's pulling back these Dardanian mobs to where the Centaur champions were deployed to help screen them. Look at the damage already done to the Centaur Elders. I'm actually going through a process right now of some of my units that are already inside the city of avoiding the middle and just kind of going along the walls, capturing towers. Capturing towers, capturing gatehouses, securing all of this. I already feel like I've won a major foothold in this battle by virtue of the fact that I've... I wonder if these guys are going to get through here. I don't even remember this happening. By virtue of the fact that I just outmaneuvered my opponent.
The enemy is trying to capture the gates.
Oh. Yeah, they get stopped right there. And that's when I trigger my attack. Oh, they just sneak through. Okay. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, well, that's fine. I start pulling my troops down off of the walls here. Aeneas is still out here. And I kind of realize I have an opportunity to ace Aeneas if I play my cards right. Like, they're trying to put this Dardanian mob up here to I guess take over this gatehouse, but it's not working out for them because I do still have troops in the area on the walls. So yeah, I've got these giants moving up, trying to take more towers. The Harpies are falling back now. There's troops all over the battlefield. I'm already got this Renowned Thine Spear taking another gatehouse. He has opportunities here. Like, if he had charged, he might have been able to single out this Renowned Thine Spear and remove it. But I was very proud of my engagement to get me to the towers at this stage. So here he goes. Aeneas tries charging these heavy swordsmen. I'm immediately pulling my troops off the walls going, oh my god, can I close him off? Can I lock him in here? He just ekes himself away. Really, really unfortunate for me. If I had gotten that spearman over just a little bit quicker, I might have been able to stop him completely and lock him in there. As it is, he's going to fall back. And I'm going to start moving up. Achilles, where is the hero? Where is the Chad? Where is the champion? Oh gosh, really way far out here. I think I had him chasing off a chariot or something. I don't remember, but I was keeping him out of things for the meanwhile. So the battle for the walls is done. I've taken the outer walls. That's a major step. However, I do recognize that my opponent still has all of his elite heavy infantry still in this battle. And there is this nice little core right here. He's Australian peeling, I guess. He's falling back. He's slowing things down. He's also delaying me significantly. I know that's a strategy here. I see that this is just kind of giants and some simple javelins and mobs. I'm going to move my giants into all of this and try to take this little part of the center of town. Very pretty town center. Too bad that it's all gotten, busted up and broken. I wonder if those trees have leaves. Oh yeah, they do. Look at that. How quaint. Pretty little town center, huh? Alright, so I've already pushed up with my giants here, and I'm surprised that he actually decides to push forward into me. I draw back because I didn't want him to engage the Centaur champions into this, and I wanted to get a chance to get my giant champions to pin down Aeneas' chariot. And I'm like, oh, I've got him. This is 6 giant units versus Aeneas and a couple of really beaten up Dardanian mobs. This is a done deal. And it's at this stage of this siege, I'm actually a little cocky. I'm feeling very confident, just based off of how well my maneuvers and my tactics got me to take over. Let me show you. Half the city, pretty much. If you draw a line right here, this is practically half the city. There's still 2 more tiers of walls to get through, but I'm feeling pretty good. I still have ammo on a lot of my units. Things are going really well for me here. So I've shattered Aeneas' chariot. He's now on foot, and here's where that confidence plays in. I have Achilles on his way, and I decide I'd rather have Achilles 1v1 Aeneas if my opponent will let it happen. So I pull my giants off of him before they can kill him, because this is a half health out of chariot Aeneas. Aeneas in a chariot, after he's lost his chariot, has less health than Aeneas if he never took a chariot. And I've halved that health. This is essentially a quarter of the health that Aeneas on a chariot gets. So it's pretty low. He's going to go ahead and start activating the Divine Regeneration and get some hit points healed. I've already got Aeneas halfway into the town. I'm moving my troops into the city. There's my orders. I can show you as I'm displaying and moving them in. These are broken, shattered, I should say, Dardanian mobs. And he still has this line set up as they are. And I'm thinking, okay, the Centaur champions are still out here. They can't handle 4 armored giant spearmen. And then this surprised me. He captures a gate with a Dardanian mob. I'm literally just going to send these giant champions over here to take that back. Like, no, you don't get that. That's not for you anymore. So these towers on the walls here are going to start shooting up my giant armored spearmen, but these guys have 85% missile block chance. So I'm just going to come up here and throw some javelins. Here we go.
One of your units has
the giant javelins are intense stuff. They really are. But the centaurs have a ton of hit points, so they're going to take these hits fairly well. They actually do have a shield. I wonder what their missile block chance is. I haven't actually looked into this yet. Oh, almost lost. There we go. Missile block chance is 60%. And then while I was focusing on that, this surprised me. Crimson, my opponent, actually came down here and challenged Achilles himself. He activated the Divine Challenge, which gives Achilles minus 20 armor. But I'm not worried about it.
Just combat practice. If you're done, let's fight.
Yeah, I like this. He gets showboaty, then turns around and smacks him with the shield. Good for you, Aeneas. He really is the John Cena of this game, especially with his animations. Also, really pretty architecture. I love these buildings. I'd live here.
You're no
I mean, I wouldn't.
Has claimed the enemy
I wouldn't, knowing what happens to Troy in general. But there you go. Defeated Aeneas. My giants get in here. I've already that one managed to escape, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick in this, even though I'm taking tower damage. I'm going to stick in this and try and just remove this other Centaur champion. I'm removing pieces of the Dardanian army without losing too many of mine. All I've lost at this stage is 1 Aegininian runner. And yes, he has a ton more troops than I do. The balance of power, as you can see, is definitely going in my favor. I've lost about 300 men. He's lost 1,000 at this stage. So I'm still feeling confident, and I'm still feeling a little cocky, but I got lucky in that he decided to have Aeneas come out there and challenge Achilles. That was never going to be a fight that Aeneas was going to win, as hurt as he was, even with the Divine Challenge, armor debuff, even with the Divine Healing that Aeneas gets. That was definitely in my favor. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next stage of this assault, the next layer of walls. Just kind of want to point out an unsung MVP of Troy, and it's this building right here. My forces are moving up. I have them splitting up into 3 different teams right now because there's 3 entry points with the this section of walls here. And I'm moving up, and as you can see, Dardania is actually falling back, but these towers, really good range. Very, very good range. In fact, they're going to start picking away at my troops all across the 3 entryways. So yes, as you can see, my opponent is falling back. Rather than defending this section of walls, he's choosing to try and defend 2 sections of walls. And I'm okay with this because it means that I have an opportunity to take these 3 tower sections here and remove them from his army. So my opponent just leaves a token group of mob to defend each of the 3 sections. I send my Renowned Flying Spears and my Renowned Armored Slingers and Achilles to go for the middle. I've sent my Giants and my Myrmidons and Light Aged Indian Runners to the right entry, and I'm sending Renowned Club Warriors and Heavy Swordsmen to the left entry, knowing fully well that he's not really making the best effort he can to defend these, just pretty much a token effort. Now, as you can see here, my forces are actually moving up deeper into the city here now. And I have orders to pretty much move them in and go for that next layer of walls, but note, as we do, my troops are getting shot by the next layer of walls. We're not the 3rd layer of walls, the next choke point area that that Dardania can use to defend the city. I'm sending in my spearmen now over here. I'm sending in my heavy infantry over here. I'm sending in my elites, my light infantry, my giants, up to this entry, and I'm going to try to threaten both entries at the same time rather than just focus everything into one meat grinder. But still, 2 meat grinders, it doesn't make much of a difference at this point. All he has to do is use his elite infantry that he still hasn't engaged with, which has full health, full stamina, but they do have the morale hit of Dead Hero, so that's good news. But they're all back here, and they're getting ready for the next stage. My Giants get engaged by some simple Dardanian mobs. No big deal for them. They'll carve right through this. You can see how they've all just kind of lined up and stacked up here. Just mob after mob after mob, throwing every single expendable body he can between me and his real army. Here comes a cavalry charge from that last chariot. It's going to get in here right into Achilles. Achilles is ready for it. He meets it with a whole bunch of giants, and that's going to be some dead chariots. Giants and Hero absolutely will beat chariots. The chariots lost their real advantage when they came back to this last layer of the meat grinder. Not going to take too many casualties from them. The giant champions have now pushed through. Yeah, chariots are just simply gone. So, at this point, I've actually taken these 2 towers, and I'm no longer getting shot by them. But just a cursory glance at the battlefield. Yes, there's a lot of Dardanian mob dead out here, but there's a giant right there. There's a ton of Myrmidons, some Aged Indian Runners that are dead out here, and I promise you, they were not killed by Dardanian mob. And these bodies litter the battlefield all over the place. All over the place. Alright, so Centaurs join these 3 Dardanian mob over here, and I'm just like, okay, we'll carve right through this. I have the troops to do this. This is no problem. I'll beat this back, push in, take these towers, and then I won't have to worry about the towers anymore. Right? Right. That's what I'm hoping, anyway. Just some simple Dardanian mob, right? Like I said, we've already gotten these 2 towers over here. My troops are trying to move in. There is another alleyway over here I'm going to try and use. He's already going to engage one of his Fearless Swordsmen over here, and he's going to start moving up some Dardanian defenders over here. His Harpy Fiends have finally run out of ammo. They're going to move down here and support these Dardanian mobs and the Centaur champion over here. And because of the amount of damage they've taken, and in particular the exhaustion that's starting to settle in, this is very tired, very tired, very tired, but even lower. The blue bar on these guys indicates their stamina. My guys are really tired from all this Dardanian mob slaying. So here come the Harpy Fiends. Now the Harpy Fiends, they are they're a particular challenge for me in this. Because look at this. 50 melee attack and 160 melee damage. 39 melee defense with the XP that they have on them, 45 armor, and a ton of morale. They're actually really good at this job. Especially since my forces are pretty tired. They're not going to have the stats to match up to that. This Renowned Flying Spear its melee defense is fluctuating between 28 and 35, or somewhere around there. They're actually going to take a ton of damage, and they're actually going to start routing because of the appearance of these Harpy Fiends over here. Meanwhile, out this way, things are going pretty well for me, I'd say. All things considered, I've got some Dardanian defenders here. Achilles has a Terrify ability, which I'm going to use to target the more morale hurt of all of these units that he's going to send this way and route them. But as you can see, the attrition is starting to play against me. It's the meat grinder, but you don't really have a choice. If you can't find a way to flank around, if you can't find a way to maneuver, and if this is all you have, you're just going to slowly lose. The balance of power is now even again. Gone are my advantages from earlier on. I've taken 900 casualties now. My opponent has taken 2,000 casualties, but most of them on expendable units. And yeah, I'm going to get in here, try and spend the last of my slinger ammo, cause some casualties over here. The Dardanian defenders do have a, I believe, 45 or 55% missile block chance. What an interesting formation this is. I don't remember this happening in the battle. I think the Fearless Swordsmen just decided to run laps because they knew they were winning so heavily at this stage. So, yeah, they're coming over this way. That's really unique. And my forces on at this flank, which I figured was going to be the much easier of the two, considering the units that I'm arrayed against and considering like how many of them are actually shattered right now. I figured I'd be pulling through this no problem. Oh, there's some javelins coming in from this Fearless Swordsman. But he still holds these towers. He's held them the entire time. And they are just racking up kills. Some of my regrouped guys are coming back here. They're dying. Oh, look. Savage Centaur Warrior kind of broke through here. Did get a rear attack in, but I am taking out some of their bodies as well. It says they're broken right now. And some of my units that are fleeing are also getting shot. These are not expendable units, so the fact that people are dying, damage sustained, attacked in the rear, exhausted, they're going to take a ton of morale hits. Currently, damage sustained, exhaustion, frightened by enemy unit, currently losing, and faster and stronger enemies nearby is causing a lot of morale hits. And my guys are going to fall back from here. We're gonna lose this flank, and it's gonna provide my opponent with opportunities to try to do some flank attacks of his own. He did try getting a Fearless Swordsman around here, but I intercepted it with Spear-Fighting Myrmidons and one of my Myrmidon Swordsmen. Meanwhile, we're doing a good job in here. Go ahead and I charge in with my Renowned Armored Slingers. They do have 125 melee damage to support these Myrmidons that I still have a decent number with. Agent Runners are in here. My last Armored Giant Spearman is in here too. That's where the Hammer Shake is coming from their attacks. There's also a Giant Champion in here. And Achilles himself is still doing pretty good. I'm able to make good use out of his abilities. I'm probably going to activate a Terrify pretty soon. I've already got his Blood of Heracles going on. A Terrify on this Dardanian defender right here would actually be pretty useful. The Terrify ability from Achilles subtracts 30 morale from the targeted unit. I'm gonna kind of hang around here and wait till that happens. I promise you, you're not missing anything else in this battle. There it is. Yep, and I targeted that one as I thought. Morale goes to -3, -1, 1, 4. Wavering, discouraged by ability, and they will rout out of this and take a little bit of extra damage as they go. I get to do that several times. We've taken care of this Fearless Swordsman now. We're taking care of this Fearless Swordsman. We've got an advantage here. We're going to try and push. But he's actually just going to go ahead and divert a Dardanian defender in the way, and don't really have enough troops out here to push through an entire Dardanian defender on my own. So as I mentioned, he's going to try and flank around here, but this is easy enough for me to see and easy enough to intercept, and my towers are turning, turning a little bit of that damage dealt against me against my enemy now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be able to, take some of these guys, turn them around, face this, intercept this flank. This is not going to be a problem. And he goes ahead and he puts a Fearless Swordsman right here. So he's going to hold this. These guys are going to get killed. These guys are regrouping now. They're actually going to get in behind these units and take them out of the fight. So this entire flanking force is now going to get outflanked itself. There is still the possibility of these Dardanian defenders coming around this way, but I still have the troops to face them. And right now, only one Dardanian defender in our way. Oh, but it's really easy for him to put another Fearless Swordsman in there. No big deal. There's a shattered Dardanian defender. That's great news. Fearless Swordsman coming in here. Casualties now. I have taken 1,400 casualties. My opponent has taken 2,500 casualties. But that's okay. The army losses aren't going to trigger based off of dead expendable
One of your
units.
units has gone
The
berserk.
Star Champion came back. I went ahead and I berserked Achilles just to help me kind of carve through this a little bit more. These guys are broken. And yeah, this is just going to be a meat grinder here. These guys are going to get in here, rear attack this, if these guys are even still standing in a second. We'll see if they are. As you can see here, though, my forces are taking a ton of damage. It's a battle of attrition. Balance of power is now starting to go against me. The Dardanian defender is going to try and get in here and trailing a Myrmidon swordsman. Going to try and outflank my blob out here, I believe. But, you know, can't ignore the Myrmidons forever. It's also going to get caught up on this battle. And then we're also going to get these troops in up here, and they're going to rear attack this, break through that. And then this guy who thinks he's about to successfully outflank my severe fighting Myrmidons is just going to get flanked himself. In fact, I've already got this unit pulled out, ready to meet it in battle, but like the tired legs are all over the battlefield. Even this Dardanian defender is exhausted. And these guys don't take penalties from being rear attacked, so joke's on him. And just like that, their morale just plummets because it's not at all advantageous of them to try and outflank a Myrmidon who doesn't care that they're being outflanked. I mean, it's even strange that they have flanking defense improved when they're unbreakable. They don't care about their morale. Like, that morale is going to be rock solid the entire time. And shattered. Broken, not shattered, but point proven. And then meanwhile, that flanking force, gone. They just took too much damage from the... Oddly enough, too much damage from the towers. Probably less so from my own forces. But if you take an inventory, there's still another Fearless Swordsman, Dardanian Defender, that are both fresh, and a healthy but not as fresh Dardanian Defender over here, and just some regrouped units. These Fearless Swords even have half their ammo. He's actually going to move away from this gate point now because this is all that's left of my forces. All I can do at this stage is try to, you know, crack this nut, break through, crack that nut, break through, and then take the city. You can see, though, that the balance of power definitely against me. I'm taking casualties. These units are exhausted, and that's what's finally starting to kill them. Never mind the damage that these indestructible towers have dealt to me the entire way through. I am getting some forces to regroup over here, and I have an opportunity to push through, kill some more Dardanian defenders, kill some harpies, and maybe even set up a flank. But, I mean, when you're a defender, you have all the time in the world to react to these kinds of things. So, yeah, there's a Dardanian defender moving into the way to intercept me. And these Fearless Swords are going to come around on in here, and, you know, these spear-fighting Myrmidons and everything, like, they're losing models at this point. They're losing a ton of hit points. I get another Terrify off. That's going to break this Fearless Swordsman's morale. And he's actually going to give some attack orders to just kind of pull through and attack, you know, my next thing, like these Ancient Indian Runners, perhaps. Just kind of, like, trying to pull through my spear-fighting Myrmidons and ignore them. But, hey, guess what? I have my heavy infantry in here now. It finally took them forever, but they're finally here. They're going to join in these battles, but we're starting to take damage sustained penalties and morale penalties. What's affecting this heavy Phthian Spear? This renowned Phthian Spear, damage sustained 48, attacked in flank 10. That's funny because there's nobody attacking him right now. Faster and stronger enemies nearby, and very tired. I'm not sure who the faster and stronger... I mean, faster for sure. This is already a really slow unit, but stronger... Don't know about that. So we're going to get some more casualties against these Dardanian defenders. Get that working in our favor. Some Myrmidon swordsmen are getting ready to join this battle over here against the Dardanian defender. Since they just decided to pull through my Myrmidons, I decided to go, you know, I'm going to play tag. I've lost. I know that. I just decided I'd go touch the flag. I got it. But all my Myrmidons just died there in that blob. They finally got KO'd. He realizes that I just kind of pulled Achilles straight through all of this. I have a new target for Achilles, and that's these broken fearless swords over here. Just trying to cause a few more casualties. I recognize, though, I kind of need to turn them around and have him try and rear attack this Dardanian defender. Maybe that'll make a difference. But my my troops are about to just army losses and break out. Here we go. Yeah, there it goes. So all I have left are my unbreakable units.
Take care. You are losing ground.
They're just gonna die. there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, and so Achilles gets his last stand here in the town center. All of my other Myrmidons are gone. The only troop I have left is Achilles, and he's just getting a javelin bath as he fights these Dardanian defenders. And that's gonna end this siege battle.
Your hero has fallen.
There it goes. And let's get a nice tour of the battlefield, shall we? The dead litter the streets, and that meat grinder, this meat grinder, all this out here, the bodies for miles, all the way from one end of the city to the next. Troy is littered in the blood of my troops and my enemies. All the way even to the outer walls. There they are. And even some of the routing troops. My men that have, my slingers finally made it out all the way this way, actually. So yeah, now let's show you some statistics. This part's fun. At the end of this battle, Crimson, Altair here, and I had a nice conversation about what do we feel like we learned from all of this. His immediate response was, "Oh, I won because I brought, 2,000 more troops than you did." And I went, I mean, yeah, but they were paper. And I carved through them like paper. And you can see their impact was extremely negligible. Dardanian mobs are meant to, tie down enemy troops, slow down enemy troops, and maybe even catch and kill skirmishers or get them to waste their ammo. But I really just kind of felt like they were in my way, and I think the only time that the mob actually made an impact in this battle was at the final wall at the last choke point, where their bodies actually slowed me down from killing the Harpy Fiends. Nobody out of his elite infantry got more than triple digits. I think the most killingest unit was this fearless swordsman at 88 kills. Nobody gained XP. None of this was an XP gain. Chariots, absolutely minimal effect. This Centaur champion deleted, minimal effect. This one had an effect with its morale damage in that one battle. The Harpy Fiends did very well. And then the Centaur Elders, they did kill off a Janinian runner, but after that, it was pretty much just lost against my outer wall troops. My takeaway from this battle was, and I say this, and I'm trying not to say it selfishly, I felt like I deserved to win much more than my opponent did. And I don't mean that in like a salty way. I mean that in like an analysis of the gameplay. Like, I mean, they talk about this in soccer, football, all the time. Like, oh yeah, this team played the better game. They had more possession, they had more control, but they were just unlucky in that they didn't get that last goal. The other team did, or something along those lines, right? And were this an open field land battle, and there were no walls or choke points or towers, I feel like I absolutely would have won that battle, just based off of how things kept going in my favor, how I controlled the maneuverability, how I got Aeneas removed from the fight, on how I took away pieces of his army constantly, and how I was able to advance steadily. The problem was that the troops just didn't have the stamina to do it. And you could see triple-digit numbers all over my army. Yes, again, he brought, 1,500 more troops than I did, but there's XP pickup all over the army. I did not spend XP on these guys. These were the ones that they earned through the battle. Anyway, some statistics that you might find interesting. After calculating and adding up all of the kills he made and comparing it against my losses, the towers, there were 656 more losses than Dardanian kills. 656. That means that the towers killed as many as 656. It is very, very likely that some of that 656 was from friendly fire. But not all of it. Certainly not most of it. Most of that damage had to have been done by the towers themselves. The top 9 most killingest units from the Dardania roster got 643 kills. And that's the Harpy Fiends, some of the Fearless Swords, some of the Dardanian Defenders, I think one of the Chariots. All of those units together didn't kill as much as the towers did for the Defender. I added up the funds cost of those 9 units. That was about 12,000-ish funds for those units. Meaning that, at least in this engagement, the contribution of the Trojan towers in this battle, specifically to this battle, equated almost an entire large funds army. So, why am I talking about all this? And okay, yeah. Why am I talking about all this? Because people keep saying, like, oh man, it'd be cool to have a siege tournament, or let's do competitive sieges. Yeah, I'll take a turn defending, you take a turn defending. You see it a lot. Actually, you see it a lot in the Rome 2 community. They love playing sieges in Rome, and they're fun. My take on siege battles, multiplayer siege battles, is that they are just not fair. And if they can't be fair, you can't be competitive. You could take all of the rules off and just go at it and have a good time. And that's what we did. That's what we did. We were just like, yeah, since we're doing a siege battle anyway here, let's go ultra funds, large armies, and go to town just to have a good time with it. Because at this point, like, there's nothing else we could do to make it balanced. There's no point in trying to make it balanced. We can't make it balanced until we know exactly what the points funds cost advantage is of having towers and choke points. Even if all of those towers didn't work. Dardania can win the game by just sitting there at the top of the hill and not attacking because there's an attacker timer. Just going to load up custom battle here, and I'm going to show you siege battle. We'll even look at, let's see here, we'll look at Troy. Alright. There's an attacking side and there's a defending side. To win, the defenders must hold back the attackers until the time limit is up. To win, the attackers must defeat the defenders within the time limit. There is one capture point at the very top of Troy, and I'm pretty sure all of these cities only have one capture point. And they are all, basically at the most defensible spot on the map. This is significant because it means that the defending player does not need to engage the attacking player, and the attacking player needs to engage the defending player. That on its own, that alone, simply that means that the game isn't balanced. If you take away the timer, that makes a huge difference. Now you're saying, okay, both sides have to fight until somebody's dead. However, the defenders can still just sit there in their defensive position and win by virtue of the fact that the attackers, by virtue of the fact that the defenders just have the better ground, and you don't want to leave the better ground. They'll camp inside those walls and make the attackers waste their lives trying to take those walls. Do you follow me? Do you catch what I'm saying here? The defender has an advantage on the fact that they can draw the lines in these choke points and pull your troops into them. The enemy troops have to try and break through those choke points so that they can actually get any kind of flanking in. Because here's what the game is if you don't have flanking. It's just math and a meat grinder. If there's no flanking, if there's no maneuvering, if it's just one line of troops versus another line of troops, whoever brought the better troop is going to win. And whoever is on the defensive position is also probably going to win. I mean, obviously, you can't have, like, a Dardanian mob defend against a fearless swordsman forever, right? Like, no, that doesn't count. That's not going to work out for you. But because you're the defender, you could just keep all of your best units at the very, very back and wait until the very, very end after your opponents have already exhausted all of their troops all the way up to the very end of the battle, and then go, okay, well, do you have anything that can beat my fearless swords and Dardanian defenders? And the attacker says, well, I mean, if my guys were fresh and if we were fighting, since the beginning, yeah, but not anymore. So, okay. That means, all right, but Jarl, what about the Troy Earthquake map? The Troy Earthquake map, they don't have the benefit of as many walls or as many towers, but they still have the benefit of towers. I could show you this little tiny little box over here. This is the regular Troy map. These orange dots indicate towers that are going to shoot and kill my troops. In the Troy Earthquake map, there's still orange dots. These are the towers that can shoot and kill your troops. Okay, well, not Troy then. What about any of these other maps? Any of these other maps also has these little orange dots, which indicates where the towers are. So, if you want to see siege battles, understand that they are not going to be competitive, they're not going to be fair, and they're not going to be the material for which I'm going to be making competitive gameplay. I'm never going to do a siege battle tournament because they're not fair. I don't know how many times I can say it. I hope you all understand my perspective on this now. If you're going to do a siege battle, just do it for fun. Go over the top. But, like, there's no way to make them balanced. No way. Even if you took the towers out of the equation, they're still not balanced. Okay, well, Jarl, what about a minor settlement battle? These are places that don't have towers, that don't have walls, so the towers can't get, like, 656 kills if they don't exist. Okay, I see what you're saying. However, the defender still has a significant advantage that the attacker doesn't get. What significant advantage is that? They control the pace of the battle. They control the choke points. The attacker has to break through. To win, the defenders just have to hold off the attackers until the time limit is up. The attackers must defeat the defenders within the time limit. There's no onus of responsibility for the defenders to actually engage the enemy. They can literally sit there in their checkpoints with their units and win by virtue of the fact that the attackers can't do any flanking maneuvers. I mean, there's opportunities to flank. You could just, go through. There's like 6 entry points here. The defenders can't protect all 6 entry points, can they? They don't have to. They can just play right back here in the last spot and defend these 3 choke points. And then it's just a meat grinder at that point. And can you break through what they have and get to the very end? So there is no way to have a competitively interesting, fair siege battle or a minor settlement battle. Minor settlement battles are more fair than a siege battle, for sure. But they're still never going to be perfectly balanced where the attackers are going to win half the games and the defenders are going to win half the games. That's how you know you've achieved balance. Where the only difference between the two sides is skill of the players, picks of the armies, and not, well, you just had the better position. I can hear you. On a similar note, terrain counts too, right? Like trees, mud, and I love using these tools to help me beat my enemy in a creative way. It's never fun to just watch your enemy park their entire army in the trees and say, "Come at me, bro. You don't have enough chariots." Or no, you brought nothing but chariots, so you're gonna lose now. That's not fun. Okay, I'm harping on long enough. I hope you all find this interesting. Thank you for listening to me. Ta-ta, I love you all. I'll see you in the next video.